Another day, another shitty... Just kidding. Today, I'm gonna show you a perfectly designed, max-funded IUL that could be used during your life, hopefully to make you more money, or as a way to plan for retirement. I'm even gonna show you exactly how I made the illustration.
Nice.
So, let's get into it. For today's illustration, we're gonna have a hypothetical client. So let's say that we have a healthy male who is 40 years old and wants to contribute $1,000 a month into their IUL. Well, one of the carriers that I would recommend to this client is Allianz Life. This is the back office of Allianz. The first thing that we're gonna do here is we wanna change our death benefit option to increasing, and we are going to assume that our client wants to contribute into their IUL until typical retirement age, which we'll say is 65. And so we're gonna have the death benefit option increase until that day, and then we will have the death benefit level out. Now, we'll come back to this, but we are going to be using a term rider on this policy because the term supplemental rider will lower the minimums, lower my commission, and then ultimately give the client more cash value. So we don't know exactly what the death benefit is going to be just yet. We're going to come back in a second. Here is where we're going to put in our premium. So we got $1,000 a month, and then we will make this match and put age 65. And then we want some retirement income to come out. So we will have a loan that has an indexed loan rate. And we want income to come out from age 66 until maturity. What we need to do next is figure out what that death benefit is going to be. Right over here, we have something called the summary values. The summary values are giving us our guidelines. So right now, our target premium says $21.56. That's a low target, so great. But the initial GL annual, that's our guideline level annual premium, and it says $20,000. That number is way too high, which means this initial total death benefit is also way too high. So we are going to get out of here and come back to our death benefit. We're gonna need to lower the death benefit, but I'll back up. When we use a supplemental term rider, we're blending the coverage types between base and term. So the lowest amount of base coverage that we can get is $100,000. So that's why I put $100,000 under the amount. The term amount is what we need to play with. Let's put it at 200 and see how much that drops our initial GL annual. Dropped it to 17.9. Still not enough, so let's drop it another 50,000. Now our death benefit's 250,000. The initial GL annual dropped to 15. Still not low enough. So let's go down to 120 and 13.2. If you guys are following along with me, we still need to drop it down more. Let's drop it to 110 and getting really close. 12,669 is the new max contribution. So we are going to back up, put 100 and let's say $3,000. See where that's gonna get us. All right, don't even need the 3, just 100, and that'll do it. You know that I purposely dropped the amount of coverage so that this client would be max funding their policy. 12 grand a year matches our initial GL annual of $12,080, okay? That target premium is still $2,156. Great, that's $10,000 of room of flexibility between the minimum and maximum. Now, the next thing on this illustration is to check out the index allocations. There's no riders we're going to be adding other than the supplemental term, so we are good there. Now, here at the top, I want a custom diversification, so I click that. I'm gonna come down here. This is just a recommendation of what I would start with. With my clients, I would do 30 to the Bloomberg index, 30 to the S&P futures, and then I would put 20 in the S&P 500 with a 12.25% cap and 20% into the fixed account. We have money in historical indexes, right? The futures and the S&P 500. We have guaranteed interest, and these two indexes right here, so 60% of the money has a guaranteed 1% bonus. So 60% is going to guarantee 1%, 20% is guaranteed 5.5, and then the other money is hopefully going to return somewhere between 10 and 12% for the year, because our S&P is capped at 12.25, but the Bloomberg and the S&P 500 are not capped. They do have participation rates that we should be concerned about and be familiar with. But for now, the next thing we need to do is, this illustration is saying, hey, we would allow you to run the numbers at a 6.82%. And we have it at a 6.6. I'm going to run the numbers at a 6.3 to not overpromise a return. Now, if you kept paying attention to these summary values over here, you would have seen that the disbursements, which is our loans, our annual income each year, dropped from 76,000 down to 63,000 per year. That is totally fine, and actually much better than leaving it, because now we are under promising, right? This number 63,000 is still hypothetical. There is no reason that we need to show them an almost 7% annual return. Keep it realistic. You would rather, I promise you, you would rather your client come back and say, wow, we're doing better than what you predicted. It does not sound fun to have your clients come back to you and say, you showed me a 7%, but I'm only earning 5. Not fun. Not fun at all. So now this illustration is ready to go. All we have to do here is print it out. Are you a life insurance agent who needs training on IULs or fixed indexed annuities or guaranteed universal life or traditional whole life insurance? Well, you are not alone, and I have the solution for you. It's called Lifewise. It is an agent training and community platform for agents who work anywhere. Doesn't matter what IMO you're at, doesn't matter if you're independent or captive. Lifewise is for everybody, so that we can all come together, share insights, and raise the standards in the life insurance industry. So if you're looking for training or support or resources, check out lifewise.io. And here we are. Allianz Life Accumulator for a 40-year-old man, standard non-tobacco health rating, $200,000 of death benefit on day one, minimum amount of death benefit, planning to contribute $1,000 a month. And then we know already that the numbers are being run at a 6.3%. These numbers are non-guaranteed. We will go through the guaranteed numbers as well. So when we scroll down here, we got our premium going in. We have the total charges of the policy. The current value is the amount of money that's earning interest. And the cash value is the amount of money that is available to borrow against, or the amount of money you would get back if you were to cancel or surrender, right? And then the death benefit. The death benefit is the original $200,000 plus the current value. So by the end of year one, the new death benefit is $210,338. On year one, this policy, we can tell that it's set up correctly because we have more than 50% of our money already available at the end of the first year. You can also see that majority of our money is already in the policy earning interest. And we're going to see a huge jump on year two. Now we have an asset at $21,000 and we have access to $18,000. The death benefit is going to go up accordingly every single year. So by year 5, we actually see the break-even point hit. We've put in $60,000. We are earning interest on more than $60,000. We have access to $57,000. That death benefit is up $61,181. Now, with this carrier, another reason this is a perfectly designed policy is because the carrier also offers something that's very important. And then I blacked out and forgot what I was going to say. Even though I wrote 90% on the screen, I didn't come back to it. So I have to tell you guys this because it's important. Allianz allows the policy owner to access 90% of their cash value once it's built. And this makes Allianz very attractive, and it is a reason why I recommend them to my clients who are purchasing their IUL for the cash value growth and access. Anyway, back to the show. Another reason we can tell that this policy is set up correctly is because we are hitting that break-even point by year 5, right? If we keep scrolling down, 10 years in, we've contributed $120,000. We have $146,000 earning interest and $144,000 available, and then death benefits up to $346,000. If we keep going, where is the surrender period over? At year 12. Now, I will admit that that is a bit of a long surrender period. Typically, it's the 10-year mark, but with Allianz, it's 12. Fine. Okay. Let's keep going. If we go all the way till age 65, $300,000 was contributed. We have $658,000 inside the policy, $858,000 of death benefit. Now, there you can see our target premium, right? Great. And our death benefit. We're going to scroll down because we have one more year of contributions. Okay, fine, 312. And then starting at age 67, we have 63 grand a year coming out of the policy as a supplemental retirement income. If anybody is looking at the total charges, you can see them going down and going up, right? Staying the same, going down, going back up. Charges are not consistently just going up. Age 85. This person put $312,000 into the policy. They've pulled out $1.2 million. There's still $444,000 of death benefit going to the beneficiary. Now, how? How is that right? The client in this case hasn't even contributed $444,000. They've taken out 1.2. Well, imagine if they had not taken out this money. What would have been transferred to their beneficiary? We can get a pretty good idea by checking out the current value of the policy. Current value is about $2.3 million. So if we had not taken this 1.2, we would have somewhere around $2 million that was going to go to our beneficiaries or create generational wealth. But instead, this illustration is showing us use the money for retirement. No big deal. I like to tell people that it's either use it or transfer it, right? Use it for retirement, transfer it to your beneficiaries. You can do a combination of both. If we keep going, let's say that our client lives to be 95 years old or 100 years old. Well, they've pulled out somewhere around $2 million. There would still be over $250,000 for their beneficiary. And then this part. So in this illustration, we have a chronic illness rider. We have a terminal illness rider. We have our supplemental term rider, a loan protection rider, and then we also have a waiver of new charges benefit. All of this stuff is coming with this policy as well. It is not something that I added. You saw me make the illustration. We can see we have 100 of base and 100 of term. We have our minimum initial premium of $2,000, which is basically 2 months of premium from our client. This policy is not a MEC. Here's an example of the guaranteed numbers. So what we see is our $12,000 going in, and then we are looking over here for our guaranteed accumulation value, cash value, and death benefit. So on year 1, they're saying the guaranteed current value would be $9,800. We would still have $5,900 in the cash value. That's still just about 50% of the money in our guaranteed scenario. Wonderful. On year 5, if you remember, we were already broken even. Now we have about $49,000 earning interest in 45. Still not bad. Year 10, $120 went in. We're guaranteed $97, $96. Let's look at 20 years, $240 went in. We're guaranteed $193. If we keep scrolling, we put in our $312. We took out 3 years of income, and then it does say the policy would lapse. No problem. We pulled out 190 grand and we earned zero in interest, 0% interest all 29 years, okay? But the point of this, showing this, because I always show the guaranteed numbers when I talk about a bad IUL. But in those bad IULs, you can go back and watch my videos, we see zeros, several zeros in the first year. We never see income even coming out of the policy because it will lapse. We will see contributions all the way through retirement until end of life and still have the policy lapse. In this policy, we got out 190 grand first before the policy lapsed. Now, just for fun, I want to go through the loan options with you because this is also a reason that Allianz is one of the most competitive IULs and one of the best IULs to have or to be recommending to your clients because the loan rates are very competitive. Allianz has two different loan options, indexed loan and fixed loan. The indexed loan is a 5% loan rate and it's guaranteed for the life of the policy. The rate is charged in advance. So you take out a loan, you're immediately charged 5% inside your policy. You don't owe 5% immediately. But now what's going to happen to the money is nothing. That money stays in the index allocations like it never left and is credited at the end of the policy year based on those selected allocations. So you might take out $10,000, but that $10,000 is still going to earn interest with the Bloomberg, the S&P futures, the S&P 500, and the fixed account to help offset the 5% interest rate that you are being charged, right? Now, the fixed loan, years 1 through 10, also guaranteed for life. Years 1 through 10, it's called a 3% loan rate, okay? And then throughout the year, so you take a loan, they charge you 3% immediately, that's sitting on your policy, but then throughout the year, you're credited back 2% to that same money to again help offset. Now, starting year 11, the loan rate changes to 2%, 1.96, and you're credited that money back throughout the year. So by year 11, you can pay 2% interest and then earn 2% interest back on your loan. We call that a wash loan or a net zero cost loan. It is not that you don't owe any interest. It's just that you're also earning the same thing that is accruing. One more thing, because I don't think that this gets enough attention and it's so cool. It's such a cool feature. Allianz offers something called an index lock feature as well as an auto lock option. So as an insurance agent, if you're watching this, you know that with an IUL, if your client gets an IUL in June, then they earn interest the next June. And then the same thing. That's called a point-to-point index option, right? Now with Allianz, let's say our client got their policy in June. Well, let's say that the S&P futures skyrockets up to 20% halfway through the year. Well, your client would have the option to lock in that 20% return in the middle of the year and make sure that next June they earn 20% inside their policy. Pretty freaking cool. This means that you are more in control. You can watch the market, decide to lock things in before it goes back down, get yourself more interest. You do have to be more hands-on. But two, instead, you could take advantage of the auto lock option that you say, hey, the S&P futures, if it hits 15%, automatically lock it in throughout the year, okay? This is such a cool feature. And if you're somebody who's looking for a way to grow their money and have some control over it or invest without actually investing, Allianz's IUL might be the perfect fit. And that's a wrap for today, folks. If you found value in this content, please subscribe to my channel. Don't miss out on any videos that are coming out next. I don't know when next is, but they're coming. So make sure you subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye.